This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining us today is Darren Hazelwood, the CEO of Panther Metals, following an announcement that the company have submitted a further exploration permit application for additional drilling for graphite mineralisation comprising on the Awkward West prospect at the company's Abonga project. Well, thank you very much for your time today. Darren, first thing on a Monday, how are you?
I'm very well, Mark. You?
Very good, thank you, Darren. So, just looking at the RNS here, it reads quite similar to the RNS, I think, on the 2nd of April. But really, you've gone west. The last one was east, and you're heading west. Is life peaceful there to follow a Pet Shop Boys theme? Why have you gone west?
Well, actually, it's probably quite relevant because some of the best groundwork done in that area, in terms of geological reports, were in the 80s. So, were the Pet Shop Boys involved? I suspect not. Look, basically, it gives people an idea of the sheer scale of this and the potential there. Mm-hmm. We've got a total of north of 60 holes now in application. If that should give people some indication of just how seriously this is being taken. We have other potential within that area, but the main focus at this stage is absolutely the graphite. As we've discussed previously, Mark, graphite's mentioned as abundant at surface in at least one of the historic reports. We've got reports of graphite over the wider area in additional reports that have been done over the last 60 years. And graphite wasn't a commodity that anybody was really looking for. And but that's obviously changed. The world has changed. The use of graphite in the battery industry is well known. It's the major component within any lithium-ion battery. And the fact is that North America has very, very little supply, and we sit with direct links into the entire east coast of Canada and of America, the USA. We sit in a perfect position for a graphite discovery and a graphite discovery scale. And hopefully now people are starting to get some indication of just what the potential for this is.
So, I mean, you say you've got over 60, so you had 31 on the east application and 31, so it's the same number, you've effectively got 62.
That's just a coincidence, yeah. That's those numbers being the same are purely coincidental.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, that's what we've got. We don't expect that we're going to drill that number by any stretch of the imagination. But what we're trying to do is, what we are doing is positioning this so that once we start, we don't have to stop. Okay. We can go to work very quickly, very astutely. And that would be the plan. You know, as a business, we took Abonga on as an area with 5 prospective targets on through Broken Rock, and then we basically took 90% of the greenstone belt via staking. And there was further deals with another option holder, and since then the deal at Christmas as well. I'd encourage people to look at that. That now makes a lot more sense for stakeholders within the business. And we've continued to just increase this area. And we obviously are very familiar with the area now. It's not an area that is highly prospective. There's never been any doubts about that. I would encourage anyone to look at the historic BHP reports from 91, 92. Now, this is a team that wanted to come back in. They didn't. But BHP have lots of different things on their plate globally. And we have. And the interest that we get is reflected in the sheer scale of this area. But as a business, whilst we've been very cognizant of keeping control of our share structure, I'm also very cognizant that we've potentially got a proper discovery here. And the worst thing that we could do is give away all that value at the very start of the process.
Okay, so
we're not here for 50%, 100%. We're looking to build a serious business, and you've got to remember that the VMS and the copper potential within the other drill permit application within this round of applications is there as well. So with VMS, graphite focused, but if we can get into one area, if we can prove it up, we can offer some security to our shareholders, and we've then got a huge number of options. And again, it all comes back to as well, like the appointment of Mel. That's an amazing appointment that gives people an idea of just what foundations have been put into the business and are continuing to expand to make sure that at the moment when we really get pushing and we're on the verge of that you can see the trajectory of the business and the potential growth in the business very, very early. You've got to remember, Mark, we're still circa a £4 million market cap company with all of this proven within the business in terms of the graphite discovery, the zinc discovery. And we need one thing that unlocks the keys to the business. Once that door's unlocked, then it's very much a game on for everyone on a large scale.
Well, you've mentioned scale a few times here, and also district scale as well. So I'm getting the sense that you've really secured the district for the company here. What are you talking about in terms of scale? Can you give us a sense, square kilometres, or give us an idea of how vast the area is?
Well, the graphite potential, that's in our RNS released, I believe, in March, maybe in Feb, so excuse me there. We stated that we've got an initial exploration area of 21 square kilometres just for the graphite. Now, that is an area that has got proven potential for graphite. There is some discussion internally that area may actually expand out to the west, but we're going to have to prove that up. But at the moment, we've got 21 square kilometres. Within that 21 square kilometres, there's big potential.
Okay. I want to pick up on a couple of points from your comments in the RNS here. The first one, you say your initial steps around the graphite will be undertaken shortly as the snowmelt accelerates in northwest Ontario. And from when we spoke last time, those initial steps were really getting people on the ground, trying to identify the areas where the graphite is abundant at surface. Is that still the case? And are we talking sort of May time in terms of a timeline here?
I would expect so, Mark. I don't think we're going to get out there before the end of April now. But that's very much the aim. Basically, all we're doing, I get weekly reports on the snow conditions in the bush, and that comes through on a Monday. So I'm waiting to see that today. I know temperatures have been into double figures in that area over the last week, and they're projected to continue. So probably now very, very early May. Okay. The idea there, we've got teams going out. We know the prospective locations. We're just going off of historic reports at this point. And look, those rocks in that area are 2.5 billion years old, right? So they're not, and these reports are over the last 60 years. That graphite is, if it's in those reports, it's still going to be there at surface. That's not something that somebody's come along and stolen. However, we have to prove that up ourselves. We have to physically see it. And that starts to delineate our target areas for our future work, which will be, we're looking to roll this now. The idea of the business was always to be very aggressive. And it hasn't panned out that way to date. But then there's been external influences that we can't control that have played a role in that. But now that we're onto it, we're like a dog with a bone, and we really attack this area. But this is the first program. It'll only be probably 4 or 5 days. We'll get images from there, and that'll help us just that initial trigger. So yeah, it's game on.
Okay. And the other thing that you mentioned in your comments there was you said we hold such a dominant position on this greenstone belt that with further discoveries, interested parties will have to engage with Panther Metals. So what are you saying here? Is this a flag waving to interested parties to get in touch, or have you had interested parties be in touch already? What are you suggesting?
We don't need to wave a flag at all. I think that what you're not seeing a CEO trying to attract. We don't need to. We know exactly where we're at. We know who's expressed interests in what we're doing, what they would like to see, and we're on a value curve here, right? Everybody knows the Lassonde curve. We also, whilst we're very excited by the graphite, we've also got the VMS potential in this area. There is other potential. We've got the potential conduit underneath the graphite, which actually the graphite story does confirm the conduit theory, and the conduit would be a platinum, palladium, nickel, copper play. But it's one step at a time. We're a junior. We're on a greenstone belt that no other junior would go to, not because of its lack of prospectivity, but because of some of the challenges around that greenstone belt. We've largely alleviated those challenges through the work that we've done. Shareholders had to be patient. The companies had to be patient whilst we've done that. And that work is ongoing and it continues. However, we know what we need to do to get over those issues. And of course, by nature, when you get in that scenario and when you get something of this scale, remember, we're talking about 291 square kilometers of a highly prospective greenstone belt. We've got producers on the greenstone belt immediately to our east, and we've got producing mines on the greenstone belt immediately to our west. Abonga sits in the middle of those. And you're not going to go unnoticed, and you don't need to do anything in those scenarios. It's very much a case of these people find you. However, also within that, I believe that the work that we need to do on the ground and what we should do on the ground is it has the potential to be extremely cost effective in terms of the impact it can have on the business. So that's where we're at this point.
So you mean little cost for big reward potentially?
Yes, 100%. You know, we are about discovery, and I'm not looking to act as maybe as a heroin addict where you're looking for that instant shot. We could provide the market with an instant shot, you know, within a relatively short space of time, I believe. However, is that the shot that's going to drive that? It might drive it in the very, very short term, but it's also not the shot that's going to drive this the 20, 30, 50 times, which is the one that everybody's after. And there's no guarantees that we're going to get to that point. However, the potential is definitely there for that to happen. And we'll continue on the path that we've shown. The only difference now is you're going to see this accelerate, and that's exactly what shareholders expect.
Indeed it is. I just want to pick up on a final point. You mentioned that you know who has expressed interest and you know what to do. So you are saying that you have had interest. Can you elaborate any more at this stage?
No.
No. Okay. But you know what to do, so presumably you're going to get doing that this field season.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much again, Darren Hazelwood, for your time, the CEO of Panther Metals.
Thanks, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.